The desert wind carried the taste of iron and dust as the army approached the strongholds of Khaybar. Date palms swayed like silent witnesses, their shadows stretching across a land that had seen caravans, treaties, betrayals, and now, an approaching test that would shape history.
Khaybar was not a single fortress. It was a network of fortified strongholds, each perched on rocky elevations, each built with thick stone walls and iron gates, designed to withstand siege.
The defenders were experienced, well-armed, and confident. They believed no force could breach their defenses. On the other side stood a smaller force, disciplined, resolute, but facing a challenge unlike any before. The tension in the camp was heavy. Fires burned low. Conversations were hushed. Every soldier understood this would not be an easy victory. Days passed in attempts to break through the defenses. Assaults were met with volleys of arrows. Siege attempts faltered. The fortresses stood unbroken. Then came a moment that would echo through centuries. The prophet announced before the army,
"Tomorrow, I will give the banner to a man who loves Allah and His Messenger, and Allah and His Messenger love him.
Through his hands, victory will be granted."
The words spread through the camp like wildfire. Every heart stirred. Every warrior wondered. This was not merely about command. It was a declaration of trust, of love, of divine favor. That night, sleep did not come easily. Men lay awake beneath the desert sky, staring at the stars, reflecting on their faith, their courage, their worthiness. The banner was not just a piece of cloth. It was a symbol of responsibility before God and history.
Morning came slowly, painted in hues of gold and pale blue. The army gathered. Eyes searched the crowd.
The banner was placed into the hands of Ali ibn Abi Talib. But this moment did not begin with triumph. It began with hardship. Ali had been suffering from severe eye pain. His vision was blurred, his discomfort evident. Yet when he was called forward, he did not hesitate. The prophet prayed for him, placing blessed hands over his eyes. Within moments, the pain vanished. His sight returned with clarity. This was not merely healing, it was preparation. The banner rested in his hand, not as a symbol of power, but as a burden of trust. He did not raise it in pride. He carried it with humility. And then he walked toward the fortress.
The path toward the stronghold was uneven, strewn with rocks and hardened earth. Each step echoed with the weight of expectation.
Behind him stood an army watching in silence. Ahead of him stood walls that had defied every attempt.
The defenders jeered from atop the fortress, their voices sharp, their confidence unshaken. They believed the siege would fail as the others had. They believed the gates would never fall. They did not yet understand the difference between force and conviction. Ali halted within sight of the fortress. The banner fluttered behind him, catching the desert wind like a living witness. His armor bore the marks of previous battles. In his hand rested his sword, Zulfikar, not raised in anger, but held with purpose. A call rang out from the fortress, a challenge, a declaration of superiority. Warriors emerged, armored and confident, certain that fear would scatter the approaching force. But fear did not move him. He called them not first to battle, but to truth. He invited them to justice, to reflection, to reconsider the path of conflict. This was not weakness, it was principle. War, in its harshest form, was never the first desire. The offer was rejected. Arrows rained down. Dust rose with each impact. The air filled with the whistle of projectiles and the clash of steel. The battle had begun. Ali advanced, not recklessly, but with deliberate focus. Each movement was precise. Each strike was measured. He did not fight to display strength. He fought to fulfill a responsibility. The defenders had relied on their height, their walls, their gates. But walls cannot measure resolve. The clash intensified near the entrance. The fortress gate loomed, massive, reinforced, immovable, Soldiers had attempted to breach it before and failed. It stood as a symbol of defiance. The fighting surged around its base. Dust clouds blurred the air. Cries of combat echoed against stone. Then came the moment history would remember.
The gate stood between two worlds, one of fear and one of faith. Ali approached it amid the chaos. The iron surface bore the scars of previous attempts, dents, scratches, marks of siege tools that had failed to break through.
Behind him, soldiers fought with determination. Before him, the barrier remained. This was not merely a physical obstacle, it was psychological. The defenders believed the gate made them untouchable. It was their shield, their assurance, their illusion of invincibility. Ali placed his hand upon the gate, not in rage, not in spectacle, but with resolve. The battle raged around him, yet in that moment there was a stillness, a pause in history where intention met action. He pushed forward, with strength drawn not from muscle alone, but from conviction. He forced the gate from its hold. The iron hinges, long trusted by its defenders, gave way. The barrier that symbolized security collapsed. The sight stunned both sides. The defenders' confidence fractured. The attackers' hopes surged. But what followed was not chaos. It was controlled advance. Ali did not turn the moment into arrogance. He did not celebrate. He did not boast. He continued forward with discipline, ensuring the path was secured, ensuring unnecessary bloodshed was avoided. The fortress, once thought impregnable, was no longer untouchable. Yet the true victory was not the gate. It was the breaking of fear. For the army behind him, the impossible had become possible. For the defenders, the illusion of invulnerability had been shattered. And for history, a lesson was carved. Strength without faith builds walls. Faith with strength removes them.
When the battle subsided, the dust settled slowly over Khaybar. The strongholds that had once stood defiant now stood quiet. Their gates opened not to destruction, but to a new order built on justice. Victory did not bring celebration filled with arrogance. There were no parades of pride. There was accountability, fairness, and restraint.
Ali did not claim the moment as personal glory. He did not speak of his strength. He did not elevate himself above others. Instead, he ensured the principles that guided the battle also guided the aftermath: protection of the innocent, honoring of agreements, and justice over revenge. This was the difference between conquest and responsibility. The banner he had carried was returned not as a trophy, but as a trust fulfilled.
The army that had watched him approach the fortress now saw a deeper lesson. Leadership was not proven by power alone, but by humility after power. In the days that followed, stories spread, not exaggerated tales of strength, but reflections on faith. Even those who had stood on the opposing side recognized the discipline and restraint that followed the victory.
History often remembers moments of force, but the greater legacy lies in what follows force. Khaybar was not remembered merely for a gate removed from its hinges. It was remembered for a leader who carried the impossible without carrying pride. It was remembered for an army that learned courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to stand despite it. And it was remembered for a lesson that would echo across generations. True strength is not in breaking barriers. It is in breaking the arrogance that builds them. The desert wind moved once more through the palm groves, carrying with it the echoes of a day when faith and resolve reshaped the course of history. The banner had been carried, the trust had been fulfilled,
And the legacy continued not in stone walls or iron gates, but in the hearts of those who understood that. Leadership is measured not by what a person can lift, but by what they refuse to become after lifting it.